Today I'm going to talk about something that perhaps you have already felt in your chest. That sensation that something needs to happen, that there's no more time for hesitation. Does this sound familiar? You may be at this exact moment feeling the weight of a decision that can no longer be postponed. Or maybe you're on the other side, waiting for someone to take a step, to make a definitive move because you know that if nothing changes, something precious will be at risk. When an ultimatum is given, it carries a gigantic emotional load. It's as if all the emotions contained over months, maybe years, were condensed into a single expectation. Either the relationship advances or it dissolves. This is the point that demands courage, vulnerability, and above all, authenticity. Have you ever stopped to think about what is really at stake here? It's not just a matter of saying yes or no to someone. It's about being honest with yourself and with the other person, about respecting what each one truly feels and desires. And the wait. The wait is cruel. Those waiting know how each second feels eternal, loaded with hope but also with fear. If you're on the side of the one who needs to act, this is the moment to ask yourself, what do you really want? This is an uncomfortable question, I know. Many times the answer is not as clear as we would like. We fear making choices that change our lives, that put us on unknown paths. But running away from this only makes us prisoners of a cycle of indecision that hurts even more. And if you are waiting for the other person to decide, the question you need to ask yourself is, how far does your patience go? Waiting can be an act of love, but it can also be a sign that you are giving up on yourself, on what you need to be happy. How far are you willing to go? What are your limits? Because one thing is certain, we cannot force anyone to choose us, to give us what they are not willing to deliver. But we can choose ourselves, we can choose our peace, and above all, we can choose to free ourselves from this painful weight. At this point, both for those who wait and for those who need to act, there is a crucial decision. And it does not only involve the other person, it mainly involves you and your own well-being. When we talk about choosing yourself, it does not mean putting yourself above the other person in a selfish way or closing your eyes to what the other feels. It means, above all, recognizing that you are responsible for your own well-being, for your choices, and especially for not prolonging the pain of an undefined situation. This choice of putting yourself first can be difficult, yes, but it is also an act of love for you and for the other person. Because by choosing yourself, you also release the other from the burden of a forced decision. Now, I want you to think about something important. What does it really mean to act? In a relationship, acting is not just talking, it is not just promising. Acting is taking a concrete step in the direction of a life that includes the other person in an honest and committed way. This can mean making a commitment, making changes in daily life, adjusting attitudes, and sometimes even giving up old habits. Acting, in this context, is showing that you are willing to build a shared future, that you recognize the value of the other person and are willing to invest in the relationship. For those who are on the side of making a decision, there is an essential question. What are you afraid of? Often people are afraid to act for fear of losing their own freedom, that something so serious might change their lives in an irreversible way. What many do not realize is that true freedom is not in avoiding commitments, but in making conscious choices that free you from uncertainty and doubt. Moreover, the freedom to live a true relationship comes from the courage to choose the other without reservations. And if what you feel is the fear of losing someone, it is important to reflect on why this person is so important to you. What do they bring to your life? How do they complement your world, Understanding the true value of the other can be the first step to overcoming fear because, by understanding how special they are, you will have more clarity to decide once and for all whether you want to be by this person's side. If the answer is yes, let this clarity be your guide to act, to show with gestures and attitudes that you are willing to make it happen. For those who are waiting for a decision, the challenge is also profound. The wait is one of the most difficult tests, because it puts us face to face with our patience and our own limit of self-control. Waiting for someone can be a demonstration of affection, of faith in the other. But it is also an exhausting process that gradually drains energies. Each day without an answer, is an emotional burden that grows and can eventually become a shadow of resentment. The question here is, how long are you willing to wait? The wait becomes a prison when we stop living fully, when our emotions are suspended, held hostage to an answer that may or may not come. For those who are waiting, there is also an important decision to be made. Is it possible to find peace amid this uncertainty, or is it time to set a limit? Remember, setting limits is not abandoning the other person. It is a way to respect yourself, not allowing your life to pause while the other person decides what they want. Waiting indefinitely can end up becoming a way of ceasing to live. In every relationship, there is a dance between action and patience, between the moment to move forward and the moment to reflect. If you are going through an emotional ultimatum, there is a unique opportunity here to review what you truly want, to ask yourself if what you are seeking is real love or just a companion to fill a void. Many relationships become merely a way to avoid loneliness, but what we all seek deep down is something deeper, more meaningful. Are you willing to live a relationship based on authenticity, commitment, and dedication? The choice you make now can be the first step to a new life, to a relationship that is a source of strength instead of insecurity. And yes, it takes courage. Courage to listen to your own heart. Courage to communicate what you really want. Courage to take risks, knowing that regardless of the outcome, you are honoring yourself and your capacity to truly love. Think now of the person who is waiting for your decision, or the person you are waiting for. Imagine what goes through their mind, the fears, the insecurities, the desire for clarity. The true connection between two people is made of this kind of understanding, of empathy, of the ability to see the other person as they are, and not just as someone who is there to make us happy. Relationships are not just made of passion, but of mutual understanding, recognition of vulnerabilities, and most importantly, a genuine willingness to make the other feel safe. This is the point where many get lost. By focusing on their own needs, they end up forgetting that the other also feels, also waits, also fears. And this lack of empathy ends up gradually eroding the relationship, turning what was once an intense connection into a burden, into a feeling of suffocation. Are you willing to change that? To really open up to the need of the other? Or are you just waiting for him or her to comply with what you offer? If you are waiting for the other to change, for the other to make a decision, it is important to recognize that we cannot force anyone to act, but we can choose our own path. We can decide what we want to do with this wait, if we are ready to continue alongside this person, even if the answer takes time, or if we need to move on to preserve our own peace and emotional health. Because in the end, the decision that really matters is the one we make for ourselves, respecting our own feelings and values. Whether you are the one waiting or the one needing to act, there are no easy answers here. This kind of emotional crossroads challenges us to be honest, to face the truth, no matter how harsh it may seem. It is not about proving anything to anyone, but about honoring what you feel and allowing yourself to build a relationship that makes sense, that has a solid foundation, that is true and genuine. And above all, it's about freeing yourself from fear, insecurity, and the chains that prevent you from living love to the fullest. It is time to choose. If you need to act, ask yourself what you really want and, more importantly, what you are willing to do to live this relationship truly. If you are waiting, ask yourself how far your patience can go without losing yourself in the process. Because a relationship is only truly strong when each person is able to choose the other freely, without pressure, without fear, without doubts that corrode what is good between you. I know the path seems scary, but the beauty of life lies precisely in these moments of courage, vulnerability, and surrender. Because in the end, that's what makes relationships meaningful. The ability to be authentic and courageous in front of the other. If you have come this far, then you are seeking clarity, an answer that calms your heart. And that answer, though not easy, is also liberating. The truth is that each of us has a voice within, an intuition that points us in the right direction. But often we silence that voice with fears, insecurities, or even with the hope that things will resolve themselves without us having to take definitive action. It is important to understand that in any relationship, no one can live in the shadow of doubt for long without it starting to wear down the connection that exists. This shadow, which grows with each day of indecision, gradually undermines trust, eats away at the foundations that sustain respect and affection. And so, what was once love begins to transform into resentment, into hurt, into a burden that becomes hard to bear. When you take a clear action, whatever it may be, you make room for the relationship to breathe, for there to be truth, so that both can look at each other transparently. Therefore, if you feel ready to take a step, do so honestly. Say what you feel, with clarity and kindness, and be prepared for what is to come. Often the clarity of a sincere action opens doors we didn't even imagine existed. It is like a relief, a release of all that accumulated tension that only grows in waiting, in silence. When we act with the truth of our hearts, the other also has a chance to do the same. And if both are willing to fight for the relationship, to face whatever is necessary together, then the relationship gains renewed strength, an energy that goes far beyond any insecurity. But if that decision leads you down different paths, know that this is also a form of liberation. Many times we cling to someone or something out of fear of what loss means. And we end up forgetting that life is made up of cycles, of encounters that have their right time to happen, and in some cases, to end. Do not see this as a failure, but as a part of your growth, an opportunity to learn more about yourself and what you truly want for the future. If you find yourself in the position of waiting, it is worth reflecting on what this experience is teaching you. What do you really seek in a relationship? What makes you willing to wait for this person? In what ways do you believe this wait is contributing to your own growth? Sometimes, in the eagerness to be in a relationship, we stop listening to what we need, what our heart truly desires. And this wait, no matter how painful it may be, can be an opportunity to look within and understand your true needs and expectations. In the end, the choice between acting or waiting is not just about what will happen with the relationship. It is about your ability to take control of your emotional life, to leave behind uncertainties that steal your peace, and to embrace a path of authenticity and self-knowledge. Regardless of the decision you or the other person make, the most important thing is that it is based on truth, on what both really want and need. Because when there is truth, even if the end is painful, it will also be a beginning, a new beginning in which you can reconnect with your own value, with your own strength. And if the decision is a yes, if the choice is for commitment, then this is the moment to truly dedicate yourself, to put energy into building a relationship that is a source of joy and security for both. Commitment is not a word that should be used lightly. It is an act of trust, of surrender, where each person takes on the responsibility of caring for the other and for oneself, of preserving the relationship and individuality, of respecting the space and needs of the person beside you. It is not a burden, but a daily choice that makes love something more solid and profound. Remember that no matter the outcome, you are capable of handling it. Perhaps you haven't realized it yet, but all the experiences you've had so far have prepared you to face these moments. Life tests us. It puts us in situations that initially seem insurmountable, but are actually opportunities for growth. You have within you the necessary strength to move forward, to build a full and meaningful life, with or without this person. And by recognizing this strength, you become free to choose, to live without the weight of the doubts that hold you back. Allow yourself to feel everything that comes. Allow yourself to cry if necessary. This is a way to cleanse the heart, to prepare the space for new feelings, for new connections, for a life that respects who you truly are. Sometimes the best path is the one that requires more courage, that asks you to face the unknown with your head held high, trusting that in the end, you will find the peace you deserve. Whether you are waiting for an answer, whether you need to act, or if you have already made your decision, know that you are not alone. This is a process that all of us go through at some point, and each of us comes out of it stronger, more aware, more prepared for the next stages of life. If you choose to act and seek a definitive answer, do so with kindness. Sometimes the way we communicate what we feel can make all the difference. Speak the truth, but with respect. Express your desires, but without imposing anything. After all, no one should be pressured to love, to commit, to stay in a place where they do not feel at home. Let the other person know how important they are, how much you are willing to give, but also make it clear that you deserve reciprocity. Because deep down, what we all seek is a relationship where love is a two-way street, where each person feels valued, respected, and safe. And if at the end of this journey, fate leads you to separate paths, see this as a chance to start over, to rebuild your life with new learnings, with the certainty that you did your best. This feeling of having done your best, of being honest with yourself and with others, is what brings peace to your heart. And believe me, this peace is a valuable gift because it liberates you to be happy again, to open the doors of your heart to new possibilities, without regrets, without resentments. Be patient with yourself during this process. Healing, understanding, and clarity do not come all at once. They are constructions that happen day by day, at the pace your soul allows. But know that this process is real, and it is happening within you. And one day when you look back, you will see that all this was essential for your growth, for your emotional maturity. These moments of decision and reflection are like milestones on our journey, points that define us, that transform us, that prepare us for the next phases of life. With every ending, there is a new beginning. With every difficult choice, there is a profound lesson. And by choosing consciously and truthfully, you are building a life that reflects your worth, that honors who you truly are and who you wish to be. This is the true victory, not over others, but over your own fears, over the doubts that paralyze you, over the ties that you can now finally release. Keep walking with courage, with an open heart, knowing that regardless of what happens, you will be fine, because in the end, life rewards those who have the courage to be honest with themselves, who choose peace, who decide to act or wait with dignity, who are not afraid to say goodbye when necessary, or to surrender to love when it is true. This is the beauty of a life lived with authenticity. It always leads us to the right place, even if the path seems difficult. Getting here is not easy. Looking inward, reflecting on your own feelings, and making decisions in a relationship require courage and maturity. You who are listening to this now know that it is time to make authentic choices, whether by acting with sincerity or respecting your own limits, if you are waiting for an answer. The truth is that this journey is yours. Only you can decide what is best for your heart, for your peace, and for your life. And this choice, although personal, is also powerful, for it defines how you want to live, what you accept, and what you no longer want in your life. Do not forget, the freedom of a relationship lies in each person being able to be who they really are, without fear of getting lost or failing to be respected. Be the love you want to live, with all the truth and courage you carry within. If you felt these words resonated with you, I want you to share in the comments. How do you deal with emotional crossroads? Have you ever been in a situation where you needed to act or wait? Your story may help others understand that they are not alone on this journey. So if this content touched your heart, subscribe to the channel for more deep messages like this. Leave your like to support and reach more people. And don't forget to comment about your experience. Let's build a community together where truth, respect, and love are guides for a full life. After all, we are all on this journey of growth, and each choice leads us to be more of who we truly are. E.T.